True trust begins in uncertainty because it is in those moments of confusion, doubt, and fear that we are truly tested. When life is predictable, when the path ahead is well lit and the outcomes are clear, trust feels effortless. It doesn't require much strength to believe in something that's already proven or to have faith in someone who has never let you down under ideal circumstances. But life isn't always that simple. There are times when the ground beneath our feet feels shaky, when we don't have all the answers, and when we are left standing at the edge of decisions that could change everything. It's in these moments, when we are wrapped in uncertainty, that trust transforms from a mere word into a powerful force. Imagine walking through a thick fog where you can barely see a few steps ahead. You don't know what lies beyond, whether it's safe or dangerous, whether the road continues or suddenly drops off. Yet you keep walking. Why? Because you trust that the path is there even when you can't see it clearly. That's the essence of trust in uncertainty. It's not about having perfect clarity, but believing in something beyond what your eyes can confirm. It's about relying on your instincts, experiences, and sometimes the words of others, even when your mind is filled with doubts. Trusting in uncertain times requires vulnerability, and that's what makes it so challenging. It demands that we let go of our need to control every detail, to predict every outcome, and to understand every part of the process. Humans naturally seek control because it gives us a sense of security. We feel more at ease when we can anticipate what's coming next. But life doesn't always cooperate with our need for certainty. Unexpected challenges arise, plans fall apart, and situations change in ways we never imagined. In those moments, we face a choice: retreat in fear or move forward with trust. Think about relationships. It's easy to trust someone when everything is going well, when there are no misunderstandings, and when actions align perfectly with words. But what happens when conflicts arise, when mistakes are made, or when circumstances create distance and doubt? That's when trust truly matters. It's not about blindly ignoring red flags or pretending that problems don't exist. Instead, it's about choosing to believe in the goodness of the person, the strength of the bond, and the foundation you built together, even when things are unclear. Trust says, I may not understand everything right now, but I believe in you, in us, and in the process of working through this. In personal growth, trust plays an equally vital role. When pursuing a dream, starting a new chapter, or facing a difficult decision, there will always be moments of uncertainty. You won't always have a roadmap or guarantees of success. The fear of failure can be overwhelming, and self-doubt can creep in, whispering that you're not good enough or that you'll never make it. But growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when you step into the unknown, fueled by the belief that even if you stumble, you'll learn, adapt, and become stronger. Trusting yourself in those uncertain times is what allows you to take risks, to embrace challenges, and to reach for goals that seem just out of reach. Even in situations where we rely on others, leaders, mentors, or systems, we often have to trust without fully understanding how things will unfold. Think about moments in history where people followed leaders through times of great crisis or change. They didn't have all the answers, and they couldn't predict the future, but they chose to believe in a vision, in values, and in the possibility of a better outcome. That kind of trust isn't passive, it's active. It involves hope, courage, and resilience, especially when everything around you feels uncertain. What makes trust powerful in the face of uncertainty is that it doesn't require us to ignore our fears. It asks us to acknowledge them and move forward anyway. It teaches us that it's okay not to have all the answers, that confusion and doubt are part of the human experience, and that sometimes the most important thing we can do is take the next step without seeing the whole path. Trust is what bridges the gap between where we are and where we hope to be. It holds us steady when our confidence wavers, reminds us of our strength when we feel weak, and connects us to others when we feel alone. In the end, trust isn't about certainty, it's about faith, not just in people, situations, or outcomes, but in the belief that even in the midst of uncertainty, we are capable of navigating life's challenges. It's the quiet, steady voice inside that says, keep going, even when everything around you feels unclear. Trusting when you don't understand is one of the hardest things to do, but it's also one of the most transformative, because it teaches us to lean into the unknown with courage, hope, and an open heart. Trust isn't the absence of fear, because fear is a natural, instinctive response to the unknown, to risks, and to situations where outcomes are uncertain. It's an emotion hardwired into us for survival, signaling caution when we face potential danger, whether physical, emotional, or psychological. But trust doesn't require fear to disappear in order to exist. In fact, trust often grows stronger in the presence of fear, because it's not about avoiding fear, but learning to move forward despite it. It's the conscious choice to believe in something greater than the fear itself, whether that's belief in yourself, in someone else, in a process, or in a purpose that isn't fully clear yet. When people think of trust, they often picture it as a serene, confident feeling, free from doubt or hesitation. But the reality is that trust frequently coexists with uncertainty, anxiety, and vulnerability. Imagine standing at the edge of a diving board for the first time, looking down into deep water below. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and your mind fills with questions. What if I fall wrong? What if I get hurt? What if I'm not ready? Fear is present, loud and undeniable. Yet despite that fear, you take the leap. That moment when your actions move forward, even though your mind is filled with doubt, is where trust lives. It's not that the fear vanished. It's that your belief in your ability to handle the situation was stronger than your fear of what could go wrong. In relationships, trust isn't about never feeling insecure or never worrying about potential issues. It's about acknowledging those fears, having honest conversations, and still choosing to believe in the connection you've built. Think about long-distance relationships where the fear of drifting apart, misunderstandings, or feeling disconnected can creep in. Those fears are real and valid, but trust means saying, I recognize these fears, but I believe in the bond we share, in the commitment we've made, and in the strength of our relationship. Trust doesn't silence fear, it simply refuses to let fear dictate the narrative. In personal growth, fear often shows up when we're stepping outside of our comfort zones, trying new things, or pursuing goals that feel bigger than what we've done before. The fear of failure, rejection, or not being good enough can be overwhelming. But trust in these moments is about believing in your capacity to learn, adapt, and grow, even if things don't go perfectly. It's the inner voice that says, I'm scared, but I'm doing this anyway because I know this is how fear might ride alongside you, but trust is what keeps your hands on the wheel, guiding you toward progress instead of paralysis. Consider leaders who inspire others during challenging times. They don't inspire because they're fearless. They inspire because they lead with courage despite their fears. History is full of individuals who faced immense risks, whether fighting for civil rights, standing up against injustice, or pushing the boundaries of scientific discovery. These people weren't fearless. They felt the weight of their decisions, the risks involved, and the potential for failure. But their trust in their mission, in the people who stood beside them, or in the belief that their efforts could create change was stronger than their fear. Their courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was their response to it. In everyday life, trust often shows up in small, personal ways. It's trusting your instincts when making a tough decision, even when you're not 100% sure of the outcome. It's having faith in a friend or family member even after mistakes have been made because you believe in their ability to grow and do better. It's applying for a job you feel underqualified for, speaking up when you're nervous, or taking that first step toward a dream that feels out of reach. In each of these moments, fear is present, whispering all the reasons why you shouldn't try. But trust answers back, not by erasing the fear, but by saying, I hear you, but I'm doing this anyway. The beauty of trust is that it doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't require absolute certainty or a fearless heart. It simply asks for a willingness to believe, to take that next step, and to hold on to hope even when doubt creeps in. It's what allows us to keep going after setbacks, to open our hearts after heartbreak, and to find meaning even in situations we don't fully understand. Trust isn't about eliminating fear. It's about learning to coexist with it, letting it inform us but not control us. It's the bridge that carries us over the gaps that fear creates, allowing us to move forward even when the path isn't clear. Belief in the person, process, or purpose is often the foundation of trust, especially when circumstances are uncertain or outcomes are unclear. This belief acts as an anchor, keeping us grounded when we face challenges that test our patience, resilience, and confidence. Whether it's belief in ourselves, in someone we care about, in a system designed to guide us, or in a greater purpose beyond what we can currently see, this faith allows us to move forward even when the road ahead is filled with doubts and obstacles. Trust doesn't always come from having all the answers. Sometimes it's simply about holding on to what we believe in, even when everything else feels shaky. When we talk about belief in a person, it often refers to the confidence we have in someone's character, abilities, or intentions. This could be a friend, a family member, a mentor, or even ourselves. Believing in someone doesn't mean expecting perfection. It means recognizing their strengths, understanding their flaws, and trusting that they will do their best even when things get tough. Think about a student struggling with a subject in school. They might doubt their own abilities, but a teacher who believes in them can make all the difference. The teacher's belief isn't based on flawless performance, but on the potential they see within the student. That belief can inspire the student to push past their fears, work harder, and eventually succeed. It's not the absence of failure that builds trust. It's the presence of unwavering belief, even in the face of struggle. Belief in the process is equally important, especially when progress isn't visible right away. Life is full of processes. Learning a new skill, recovering from a setback, building a career, or even healing from emotional wounds. These processes are often slow, filled with ups and downs, and can be frustrating when results don't come as quickly as we'd like. Imagine someone training for a marathon. The early days of training are hard and improvements might feel minimal. There's physical exhaustion, self-doubt, and moments of wondering if it's all worth it. But trusting the process means showing up every day, putting in the work, and believing that even small steps are leading somewhere meaningful. It's about understanding that growth isn't always linear, and that the effort invested today may not pay off immediately, but will eventually lead to transformation. Belief in purpose is perhaps the most profound form of trust because it often requires faith in something we can't see or fully understand. Purpose gives meaning to our experiences, especially the difficult ones. It's what helps people find light in the darkest moments and continue moving forward even when the destination is unclear. Consider someone going through a personal loss or a major life change. In those moments, it's hard to understand why certain things happen, and the pain can feel overwhelming. But belief in a greater purpose, whether spiritual, personal, or philosophical, can provide comfort and strength. It's the idea that even though we don't have all the answers now, our experiences are part of a larger story that is still unfolding. This belief doesn't erase the pain or confusion, but it offers a sense of hope that there's meaning beyond the current struggle. In relationships, belief in the person, process, and purpose often intertwines. Take, for example, a couple going through a rough patch. They might face communication issues, misunderstandings, or external pressures that create distance. Trust in this situation isn't just about believing the other person won't hurt you. It's about believing in who they are at their core, in the process of working through challenges together, and in the purpose of the relationship itself. Even when emotions are high and clarity is low, that belief can act as a compass, guiding both people back to common ground. The same applies in personal goals and ambitions. Pursuing a dream often means facing rejection, failure, and moments of intense doubt. There will be times when it feels like nothing is working, when others question your path, or when you question it yourself. But belief in the process keeps you moving. Belief in your purpose keeps you grounded. And belief in yourself reminds you that you are capable of more than you think. It's not about never feeling discouraged. It's about not letting discouragement have the final say. Ultimately, belief is a choice. It's the decision to hold on to hope, to see potential where others see limitations, and to trust in the unseen connections that tie our experiences together. It's not blind faith. It's informed by past experiences, lessons learned, and the inner strength that comes from overcoming challenges. Belief in the person, process, or purpose doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means embracing it with the understanding that even when things don't make sense, there's still value in the journey. This belief gives us the courage to take risks, the resilience to keep going after setbacks, and the wisdom to find meaning even when answers are hard to come by. Growth happens in the unknown because it is in those moments of uncertainty, discomfort, and challenge that we are pushed beyond the boundaries of what we already know and who we already are. When life is predictable and everything goes according to plan, there's little motivation to stretch ourselves, question our assumptions, or develop new skills. Comfort zones, while safe and familiar, rarely demand more from us than we are already capable of giving. But the unknown, that space where outcomes aren't guaranteed, where fear of failure lurks, and where we feel vulnerable, forces us to adapt, to learn, and to discover strengths we never realized we had. Think about the first time someone learns to swim. Standing at the edge of the pool, they feel the solid ground beneath their feet, knowing exactly what to expect. But the moment they step into the water, everything changes. The ground is gone, replaced by a sense of weightlessness mixed with fear. Their body reacts instinctively, trying to stay afloat. And through that struggle, they begin to learn. They figure out how to move their arms, kick their legs, and regulate their breathing. None of that growth would have happened if they stayed safely on the edge. It was stepping into the unknown, into the water, that triggered the learning process. In life, the unknown often presents itself through new experiences, challenges, or changes we didn't expect. Starting a new job, moving to a new city, ending a relationship, facing failure, or pursuing a dream that feels bigger than anything we've done before. All of these situations thrust us into unfamiliar territory. At first, the uncertainty can be overwhelming. There's fear of making mistakes, fear of not being good enough, fear of the unknown itself. But as we navigate these experiences, we begin to grow. We develop problem-solving skills, resilience, emotional intelligence, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The fear doesn't disappear, but it becomes a sign that we're on the edge of something transformative. Personal growth isn't just about achieving goals or reaching milestones. It's about the journey of becoming. It's in the process of facing what we don't know that we uncover hidden potential. When everything is certain, we rely on habits and routines. But in the unknown, we are forced to think differently, to question our perspectives, and to embrace change. This is where creativity thrives, where innovation happens, and where personal breakthroughs occur. It's not the easy, smooth paths that shape us the most. It's the winding, uncertain roads that challenge us to rise above what we thought was possible. Consider someone who faces a sudden setback, like losing a job. In the immediate aftermath, the unknown feels terrifying. Questions flood their mind. What's next? How will I manage? What if I fail again? But as they begin to navigate this unexpected chapter, they may discover new passions, explore different career paths, or develop skills they never would have considered otherwise. What seemed like a failure becomes the catalyst for growth, leading to opportunities and self-awareness that wouldn't have emerged without that period of uncertainty. Even in relationships, growth often happens in the unknown. The beginning of any connection is filled with uncertainty, wondering if the other person feels the same, navigating differences, and learning how to communicate effectively. But it's through these unknowns that relationships deepen. Vulnerability, after all, requires stepping into the unknown and trusting that it will be met with understanding and care. Conflicts, too, though uncomfortable, create opportunities for growth when approached with openness and a willingness to learn from each other. The unknown teaches us to be adaptable. Life rarely goes exactly as planned, and clinging too tightly to expectations can lead to disappointment. But when we learn to embrace uncertainty, we develop a flexible mindset. We become better at handling change, more resilient in the face of setbacks, and more open to new possibilities. This adaptability is a crucial part of growth because it allows us to thrive in a world that is constantly evolving. What makes growth in the unknown so powerful is that it's not dependent on immediate success. In fact, failure often plays a key role in the process. When we step into unfamiliar situations, we're bound to make mistakes. But those mistakes are valuable teachers. They show us what doesn't work, push us to try new approaches, and ultimately lead to deeper learning than success without struggle ever could. Each challenge faced and each failure overcome adds layers to our character, building confidence not just in our abilities, but in our capacity to handle whatever comes our way. The unknown also fosters humility and curiosity. When we admit that we don't have all the answers, we open ourselves to learning from others, from new experiences, and from life itself. This mindset keeps us growing long after formal education ends, because growth isn't a destination, it's an ongoing process, fueled by the willingness to explore beyond what we already know. Ultimately, growth happens in the unknown because it's in those spaces where we're most alive, most challenged, and most capable of transformation. It's where fear and possibility coexist, where failure and success intertwine, and where we discover that we are stronger, wiser, and more capable than we ever believed. The unknown isn't something to fear, it's the very place where we become who we're meant to be. Taking action without all the answers is one of the most challenging yet transformative things we can do because it goes against our natural desire for certainty and control. As human beings, we are wired to seek clarity, to plan every step, and to predict outcomes before we commit to a decision. However, life rarely offers the luxury of complete information or perfect timing. The reality is that most of the significant choices we make, whether in our personal lives, careers, or relationships, are made with some level of uncertainty. The ability to move forward despite not having all the answers is what separates those who make progress from those who remain stuck, waiting for the perfect moment that may never come. Consider someone standing at the edge of a major life decision, such as starting a new business. They can spend months or even years researching, planning, and analyzing every possible outcome, trying to ensure they won't fail. But no matter how much preparation they do, they can't predict every challenge they will face once the business is launched. There will always be unexpected obstacles, shifting markets, and unforeseen risks. At some point, they must take that leap of faith, trusting that they can adapt and figure things out along the way. This is the essence of taking action without all the answers. Not recklessness, but a courageous acceptance that clarity often comes through doing, not just thinking. Many people believe that confidence comes from having all the facts, but true confidence is built through experience. When you take action despite uncertainty, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. This process creates a feedback loop. The more you act without having everything figured out, the more resilient and adaptable you become, which in turn makes it easier to face future unknowns. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You don't wait until you fully understand the physics of balance and motion before you get on. Instead, you learn by doing, by wobbling, falling, getting back up, and gradually figuring out how to maintain balance. The lessons you gain from trying, failing, and adjusting are far more valuable than anything you could have learned from just reading about it. Taking action without all the answers also fosters creativity and innovation. When you're not confined by rigid plans or the need for perfect knowledge, you become more open to new ideas and solutions that you might not have considered otherwise. This is why many breakthroughs, whether in science, art, or business, come from people who were willing to experiment, take risks, and explore uncharted territory. They didn't wait until every variable was controlled. They moved forward with curiosity and a willingness to learn from the process itself. This mindset transforms uncertainty from something to fear into a space of possibility and growth. In personal development, waiting for complete certainty can be a major barrier to growth. Whether it's starting a new hobby, pursuing a relationship, or making a lifestyle change, the fear of the unknown can keep us stuck in the same routines. But growth doesn't happen in the comfort of absolute security. It happens when we stretch ourselves, try new things, and discover what we're capable of in situations where we don't have all the answers. For example, someone might hesitate to apply for their dream job because they don't meet every single qualification listed. But if they wait until they feel 100% ready, they might miss out on an opportunity that could have changed their life. By applying anyway, they open the door to possibilities they would have otherwise closed. Even in relationships, taking action without all the answers is crucial. You can't predict how every relationship will unfold, whether it's a friendship, partnership, or family connection. Vulnerability, honesty, and emotional growth often come from moments when you're unsure how the other person will respond. Saying "I love you" for the first time, having a difficult conversation, or choosing to forgive someone despite lingering doubts all require a leap of faith. You don't have guarantees, but you act because the connection matters to you, and through that action, relationships deepen and evolve. One of the most powerful reasons to take action without having all the answers is that waiting for certainty can become a form of procrastination. It's easy to convince ourselves that we're just being cautious or waiting for the right time, but often this is fear in disguise. The truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. Life is always changing, and circumstances are rarely ideal. The sooner we accept this, the sooner we can free ourselves from the illusion that we need complete clarity before moving forward. Progress comes from momentum, and momentum comes from taking the first step, even if you don't know exactly where that step will lead. Taking action without all the answers also teaches us to trust ourselves. It builds inner confidence, not because we always succeed, but because we learn that failure isn't the end. It's just part of the journey. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every setback an opportunity to grow. Over time, we realize that it's not about having all the answers, it's about having the courage to find the answers along the way. This shift in mindset is liberating because it means we don't have to wait for permission, perfect conditions, or complete certainty to chase our dreams and create meaningful change in our lives. Ultimately, life itself is an unpredictable journey. None of us have all the answers, and we never will. But the beauty of life is found in the experiences we gather, the lessons we learn, and the growth we achieve by daring to move forward, even when the path ahead is unclear. Taking action without all the answers isn't about being fearless. It's about having the courage to begin, knowing that clarity will often meet us along the way. You're not walking alone, because even in the moments when life feels overwhelming, isolating, or uncertain, there are connections woven into your journey that you may not always see clearly. It's easy to believe that our struggles are ours to carry in solitude, especially when faced with challenges that seem too personal or complex to share. However, the truth is that no one moves through life entirely on their own. Whether it's through the presence of friends, family, mentors, communities, or even strangers whose paths cross ours at just the right moment, we are constantly supported in ways that often go unnoticed until we pause to reflect. When people face difficult seasons, it's natural to feel alone because pain has a way of narrowing our focus. It pulls us inward, making it seem like no one could possibly understand what we're going through. But if we look closely, we'll notice the small gestures. The text from a friend checking in, the colleague offering to help with a project, the stranger who holds the door when your hands are full. These may seem insignificant, but they are reminders that we're part of something larger than ourselves, part of a web of human connection that holds us even when we're unaware of it. The challenge is not always finding support, but recognizing it, especially when it doesn't come in the form we expect. Support doesn't always mean having people physically present or constantly offering advice. Sometimes it's the silent strength of knowing someone believes in you, even if they're miles away. It's the lessons passed down from mentors, the encouragement stored in old messages, or the memory of someone's faith in you during a previous hard time. These invisible threads of connection are what carry us when our own strength feels insufficient. Consider a marathon runner nearing the end of a race, exhausted and on the brink of giving up. The cheers from the crowd, many of whom the runner has never met, provide an unexpected surge of energy. Those voices don't erase the fatigue, but they remind the runner they're not alone in their struggle. And that reminder often makes the difference between stopping and crossing the finish line. Even when we choose solitude, whether for reflection or personal growth, we are influenced by the people who have shaped us. The resilience we draw upon in tough times often comes from lessons learned through relationships, past experiences, and shared wisdom. A person facing a difficult decision might sit alone in a room, but their thoughts are filled with echoes of advice from a parent, a teacher's encouragement, or the inspiration from a story they once heard. We carry others with us, not just in memory, but in the very fabric of who we are. This internal support system is built over time, a collection of voices that guide us even when no one is physically present. There's also a profound connection found in shared human experiences. While our individual circumstances may be unique, the emotions we feel, fear, hope, grief, joy, are universal. Knowing that others have faced similar feelings and found a way through can be a source of comfort and strength. Think about grief, for example. It's deeply personal, yet universally understood. Support groups exist not because people can fix each other's pain, but because being in the presence of others who truly get it helps lighten the emotional load. There's healing in simply knowing, I'm not the only one who has felt this way. That sense of shared humanity can be incredibly grounding. In times of growth and success, we're not walking alone either. Achievements are often the culmination of collective efforts. Teachers who inspired us, mentors who guided us, friends who encouraged us, and even critics who challenged us to be better. It's easy to view accomplishments as solo victories, but behind every individual success is a network of support, whether visible or hidden. Recognizing this doesn't diminish personal effort. Instead, it adds depth to our gratitude and humility, reminding us that our journeys are enriched by the people who walk alongside us, even indirectly. Sometimes support comes from unexpected places. A book that speaks directly to your situation, a song that lifts your spirits at just the right moment, or an inspiring story from someone you've never met can feel like a lifeline. These connections may not be personal in the traditional sense, but they are real. They remind us that the human experience is a tapestry woven with countless threads of connection, many of which we stumble upon when we need them most. For those who feel isolated, reaching out can be the first step toward realizing they're not alone. Vulnerability is powerful because it invites connection. Sharing your struggles doesn't make you weak. It allows others to show up for you in ways they couldn't if they didn't know what you were facing. And offering support to others can be just as healing. When you show up for someone else, you create a bridge that connects not just to them, but to a larger sense of purpose and belonging. Ultimately, the belief that you're walking alone is often an illusion created by fear, pride, or the weight of unspoken struggles. But the reality is that we are all connected through relationships, shared experiences, and the simple fact of being human. Life's journey is rarely walked in isolation. Even in our loneliest moments, we are surrounded by visible and invisible forms of support, woven into our stories in ways we may not fully recognize until we take the time to look back and see how far we've come. Not just because of our own efforts, but because of the people and experiences that walked with us every step of the way.